And welcome to the October 17th, 2022 Boxborough Select Board meeting. Noting the time and presence of quorum, I call us to order. I'll do a roll call vote for attendance. John?
Markowitz here.
Les? Oh, he's here. He can't unmute. Wes?
It's here.
I am here. Wes
I'm
is
also
also
here.
muted.
Okay, and Diana?
Lipari present.
And Campbell present. Okay, so moving on to the announcements. Let me get that up. All right, so first of all, fall town meeting is Tuesday, November 15th. The last day to register to vote is October 26th for a town meeting. You can see the town's website for more detail. Currently, the town is accepting applications for its associate planner. You can visit the town's website under employment opportunities. The Boxborough Historical Society annual meeting is October 23rd at 2 p.m. at the Boxborough Museum, 575 Middle Road. They will be having a business meeting as well as a discussion of two Boxboroughs growing up in the 50s and 70s, led by Jean Kangas and Kate West. Veterans Day, there will be a Veterans Day ceremony on Friday, November 11th at 11 a.m. at the Boxborough Veterans Memorial at Sargent Memorial Library. All veterans and residents are welcome to attend. There is a public safety Halloween event similar to a trunk or treat that'll be held on Sunday, October 30th at the Boxborough Fire Department from 11 to 1. Trick or treat hours in Boxborough will be from Monday, October 31st from 5 to 7. If you have a concern about an item that's not on the agenda, please raise it during community concerns. If you have a question or comment about an item that is on the agenda, you will be recognized after the board members have had an opportunity to get their questions answered. Please wait to be recognized by the chair. This is a forum for public input, questions, and criticism. However, we asked all participants to be respectful and civil. If a community member displays behavior repeatedly that is inappropriate or doesn't respect the chair's right per Mass General Law to ask someone to stop speaking, they will be muted for the meeting and may not be called on in the future. Thank you for your understanding. Okay, so now we have community concerns. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Okay, seeing no hands raised, I'm going to move on to new business, which the first item of business is the credit card policy. So I'm going to turn that over to Carter.
Good evening. So over the past 6 months or so, we have had some inquiries, some from citizen volunteers who had to pay for conference fees out of their own pocket and then await reimbursement. We have needed to order an item that was not available for any of the vendors that we work with. In that case, I did the reimbursement, was reimbursed, but I could not be reimbursed the sales tax because as an individual, I can't submit the tax exempt status form used by the town. We had recently a staff member commit to about $450 of personal expenses to support one of our events. So we've been discussing with the finance team. I think, Jennifer, you may have been clued in by one of the citizen volunteers who reached out to you on this. The idea would be it would be one single credit card maintained in the office of the treasurer collector. It could only be used for those instances that we've outlined here. Department head would come down, collect it, or get the needed information, sign out for it, use it, and then have to return the credit card and the invoice from the vendor. And an authorization to charge their account for that amount of money. The treasurer collector would then distribute all the charges, and they'd be billed against the various accounts of the departments. The only comment I've gotten back so far was the idea that the initial limit, 2,500, would probably not be sufficient to meet the needs. But we wanted to run this idea by you. There are some towns that are violently opposed to it. You can put me in that camp. But there's also towns that do use them, and for the reasons that we've stated here. So we wanted to run this by you, get your thoughts, take those thoughts, circulate it back through the staff, and then bring you any appropriate revisions if this is of some interest to you.
Okay, thank you, Carter. Wes?
So I know in the past, so some things you can't have the invoices, but typically, or let me rephrase that. I don't really want to say in the past we've done this, but what has happened before, for things like conferences, typically we had bill us, but I understand that some people can't do that, and some of them are just like, it's a general conference for like, let's say, make an example, HR or executive functions like CEO, whatever. And so they may not be used to or inclined to agree with the town. I don't know if we could have one or two cards more specifically for those larger ones where it's either given to the town administrator and assistant town administrator to manage, and if somebody wants to, they can come in and put in their information or whatever, and then the payment goes from the town credit card with the higher limit. Or if there's, for example, in having a one with a smaller limit like this, where we maybe say like $750, where they can take it out for like, let's say the RecCom or some events like that, and purchase stuff for the fall festival, and having kind of two avenues where you kind of have like a delineation between the two, but like not to exceed a certain limit. That's just my thoughts on this. So that way we avoid having take out a card for like $5,000 limit type of deal.
Yeah, let me check on that. I understand what you're saying. The limit that had been suggested to me was at 7,500 would be closer to what we would anticipate using. The other thing is, all items would have to be delivered to town hall or an official town location as opposed to someone's home. So there's some risk with internal control, but there's also an opportunity to tighten up some of the purchasing policies. So what you're talking about, if I understand correctly, is two credit cards, one that would have the larger limit, one that would have a lower limit. Is that a fair restatement, Wes?
Yeah, and one is more like tightly controlled, like to relate to like the corporate example of, if I go to book a conference, they actually unlock the card for me and they say, here's your limit, like you get it pre-approved. It's a little bit different because I know with the corporate card, everybody gets it, but.
Okay.
Okay, Wes?
Yeah, in general, I think it's a good idea. I don't know what level it makes sense, but at some level that strikes a good balance between the facilitation of making relatively small purchases without going through a lot of paperwork to issue a small purchase order or do something else for vendors we don't have a relationship with, or the other old-fashioned ways to get cash advances and then submit a reimbursement form, and that's a lot of headache and lots of chances for things to go wrong. So yeah, it's a good idea. One thing I think we should think about is if we only have one card and the billing cycle for the credit cards are typically 30 days, what do we do if somebody else wants to use it during the 30-day billing cycle? They're going to hit up against the limit for the card, perhaps before the first person has finished using it. So going to think about that in terms of setting a limit and getting a reasonable rate of flexibility on using the card by multiple people. We may have to have more than one person have access to the card and say every 20 days. Who knows?
Okay.
Okay, Diana?
So it brings to mind, I don't know if this is practical, but perhaps opening a small checking account, and providing a debit card So we could fund that account periodically with a limit on a debit card, perhaps, so that people would have access to it. What could possibly even be several debit cards that come out of it, but the actual amount that's kept in this account is relatively small. So say $5,000 or something like that. Then we avoid credit cards. We avoid any kind of pay on time, that kind of thing. And in essence, it's a cash advance. So I don't know if that's at all a possibility, but I'm just throwing it out there.
My only concern with that, Diana, is, and I don't know whether this is the case, but just making sure that if there were a fraudulent charge made or an unauthorized charge, I don't know if it's more difficult to get a stop payment if it's a debit card than a credit card.
Right, that might be true. I don't know. But if it's a relatively low amount that we keep in there, that way we don't have to worry about paying on time and so on and so forth. We just fund it as we need it, basically.
Worth looking into.
Yeah, we'll report back on that.
Okay, John?
Yeah, I agree with the comments about having more than one card. The other thing I'm wondering with regards to the process, an individual is coming and asking to use the card, and it clearly states what the situations are. I would expect that the individual would also have an approximate amount that they would be charging at that point. So I'm wondering, instead of being limited by the dollar amount that the card allows, having that review, in other words, the person is going to get the card and they're telling the town administrator or the assistant town administrator or the treasurer collector, this is the amount that I'm going to charge. And there's a record of how much that charge will be at that point, so that we would know that in advance. The issue with using a debit card, with a credit card actually limits your liability to $50. If something would have happened to the card. A debit card is only going to be limited by the amount that's in the account. So I think we have to keep that in mind. But I would think more than one card, but also understanding of what the charge would be up front.
Okay, well, how we might crunch that into the policy, John.
Okay.
So is there any more feedback from anyone? And Carter, do you have what you need from us?
I have what I need for this evening, unless you
I have-
other.
Les?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to say this earlier. There are a couple typos on here, Carter. I could send them to you.
That'd be
Except
great.
I hate to extract it from the PDF and mark it up because that's painful.
No, that'd be great. This was a first draft, so, and you all know my typing's pretty horrible. So I think we have what we need for tonight to take a second cut at this and be back to you.
Okay.
For the next TA to be back to you.
Yes. So we have, I know Meredith is here, and I didn't know if Meredith, if you were waiting for anyone else from SPT, but if you're not, we could go ahead and move you guys up on the agenda.
Oh, that would be great. So Deb Ellison is also our legal. And so let me just shoot her a message to alert her.
She's on, and I just asked her to unmute, and she's unmuted.
Yes, I'm here, Meredith.
Oh,
So
great.
if there's no objections, we'll move up SVT.
Jennifer, I sent you the revised motion that we got late this afternoon.
Yes.
And you have the survey plan that shows the possible encroachment, and I can speak to that if you need.
I will leave it to you and Meredith and Deborah to figure out, and I can share my screen with the motion if you want, or.
Yeah, why don't we start with that, and I'll let Meredith take the lead.
Okay, go ahead, Meredith.
Would you actually mind sharing the motion? Because I don't know if I've seen the final language.
Let's see. Can you see
Take a
it?
deep breath first.
All right. How about I read it so that anybody else who can't see as well can hear it, and then we'll second it, and then we'll have our discussion. I'm going to zoom in a little. Move pursuant to paragraph 5 of the 2022 Memorandum of Agreement between Sudbury Valley Trustees, SVT, and the Boxborough Select Board entitled Pre-Purchase and Resale of 95 and 105 Sergeant Road, MOA. The Select Board approves and authorizes SVT to proceed with the purchase of the land located at 95 and 105 Sergeant Road, totaling 21.35 acres, identified as Lot 11-005-000 and Lot 11-003-000 on the Boxborough Assessor's Map, the property from the current owner of the property, and hereby accepts the state of the title to the property and all exceptions thereto as set forth in the Fidelity National Title Insurance Company commitment issued by Marsh, Moriarty, Ontel, and Golder, PC, MMOG, to SVT with an effective date of September 9th, 2022, the title commitment. This approval and authorization to proceed to closing is contingent upon a final rundown of title on the closing date performed by MMOG and the submission of a written report by email and a telephone call to the Select Board Chair and Town Council at numbers provided to SVT of the results of such rundown, detailing any new instruments of record since the effective date of the title commitment to the Chair of the Select Board and Town Council before the recording of the deed from the current owner to SVT, the deed. In the event SVT does not receive a written objection by email from either the chair or town council within 2 hours of the email being sent and the telephone call, SVT may proceed to record the deed, and the town will not object to any title matter arising prior to said recording at its subsequent closing with SVT in accordance with the terms of the MOA and the purchase and sale agreement between the town and SVT concerning the property. If an objection is timely received, SVT in the town shall proceed in accordance with the provisions of paragraph 5 of the MOA. And I move to accept the title to the property from SVT without objection to the shed encroachment depicted on plan number L14621, prepared by David E. Ross Associates, dated October 2022. And I move to amend paragraph 6I of the MOA to change the date upon which the interest will be determined from time of the closing between SVT and the seller to July 18th, 2022, the date the MOA was executed, which interest rate shall be 2.92 plus 1%, and authorize the chair to sign a written amendment to that effect when presented. No other changes will be made to the MOA. And I move to amend paragraph 2A of the purchase and sale agreement between SVT and the town, PNS, to change the date upon which the interest will be determined from the closing date stated in the POS to July 18th, 2022, the date the PNS was executed, which interest rate shall be 2.92% plus 1%, and authorize the chair to sign a written amendment to that effect when presented. No other changes should be made to the PNS.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All right, go ahead, Meredith.
Yeah, so really I'm here for questions, but as you just read, kind of to summarize where we're at, the SVT's closing with the seller is set for the 25th, so next Tuesday. And per our agreement, we need to seek your approval to move forward with that transaction. So this first section of the vote is getting at that piece, and then also more specifically pointing to title. And putting this in a form where you will receive the title rundown results and have the opportunity to at that point also approve the purchase. And let's see. And then the highlighted portion is hot off the presses with the survey this week. So I'm sure you've heard about that, and Carter may know more than I do at this point if there are questions there. And then the last two paragraphs are sort of per some discussion we've been having with the other partners in town, and really so that folks understand what we're trying to do with those last two paragraphs with the interest rate is we're trying to lock you in at an earlier interest rate, acknowledging that with inflation right now and interest rates increasing as we go, the interest rate per our agreement wouldn't be determined until next Tuesday. So we instead are trying to kind of find a middle ground here within our policy to set that at an earlier date when we all made our agreement and executed those agreements back in July. So that's sort of the outline of what we're trying to do here and where we're at.
Hey, Carter, did you have anything to clarify on that? Oh, you're muted, Carter. Oh, there you go.
On the interest rate itself, I want to thank SVT. This is at least 1% below where you would be without this change. And that was prior to the latest Fed movement. So if there have been any sale of the 6-month Treasury notes in between the last amount that we had and the closing this coming, I think you said Tuesday.
Yeah, the 25th.
That could have been a little bit higher. So I certainly want to thank SVT for their understanding and assistance on that. The shed, I think we should throw up on the screen at some point, just so you all and the public understand it. I don't think it's a major problem, but I do think folks should at least understand what it's all about.
This is what you needed?
Indeed it is.
Okay.
Can you zero in and expand the area of Kelly D. Lee and June L. Lee?
Right in here.
There's a cloud, Jennifer, on the,
On the what?
if you move over.
Yep, okay,
you
now.
Keep going that
up a
way.
little bit.
Now,
Perfect,
I'll keep
perfect.
going the way you,
So I don't know if in the middle of that,
right
behind,
there.
behind Kelly D. Lee and June L. Lee, you can see, can you drag this? Yeah, there, the cloud work probably works better.
Yeah.
So the property line for much of the property follows these stone walls. But stone walls and barbed wire fences are not always 100% accurate on where property lines are. Notwithstanding, they go back many, many years. So on the property of Kelly D. Lee and June L. Lee, you can see this small shed that is encroaching upon the property that's being acquired. The worst that could ever happen would be they might come along and say, wait a minute, we have a right of possession to this little bit of land. At some point after you own the property, you might want to give them a license for it so it can continue to be there without disturbing them. You might ask them to move it, but I don't see it being any major obstacle to the use of the land or the title of the land. We just wanted you to be aware of what the issue was.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on that?
No, I'm assuming adverse possession is the same in Massachusetts as it is in California. So open and notorious use of land isn't the only thing. You have to actually pay taxes on the land to have a claim to it. I'm assuming that's the same in Massachusetts. So I doubt very much.
It is not.
You
It
don't
is
have
not.
to pay tax. You don't have to pay tax.
Oh, okay.
It's simply open and notorious use of the land for a period of 20 plus years, but you have to prove it. And again, I just don't see it as a major obstacle, and there's a couple of ways to deal with it going forward. We just simply thought we owed it to you and the community to make sure you are aware of why that little 2-line sentence had been added in the middle of the motion, Diana.
I don't think it's an issue either, but I think it is something that should be addressed going forward to make it absolutely clear.
Absolutely, and really it's the town that will probably be in the best position to do that once you have final ownership.
Right.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Nope.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Les?
Fox eye.
Wes?
Okay.
Diana?
Lepari, aye.
And Campbell, aye. All right, is there anything else you needed from us, Meredith?
I believe that's it. Thank you all so much. We're getting there.
Thank you. So excited. Okay. All right. So if that's it on that, then moving on, what's our next agenda item? So going back to 2B, the transfer station sticker application for the affordable housing exemption. I can't talk tonight. Go ahead, Carter.
So this was in front of you, I think 2 meetings ago. You signed off on it. There is some considerable rework needed on the transfer station policy. We've started that with Ed Kukula, but we've kind of parked that off to the side and made it part of the transition memo for Michael Johns coming in, because that needs a little bit more time on it. And in the meantime, we didn't want to hold up reimbursements to folks who may have paid for their sticker already, and we didn't want to get out, miss the chance to get out the good word to those who perhaps had not acquired a sticker but were borrowing one, if you will, for lack of a better term. And finally, you'll see the shameless plug for volunteer for serving on town boards and committees at the end of this. So what we've done simply is this would go out to, I believe the final count was 21 properties.
Okay.
They'd spoken of 19, but when we asked for the specific addresses, they had 2 more in the bank that they didn't have initially. So it's not a major change, but it's a minor change. So simply put, we're trying to tell them about this good news, the work that the housing board has done on their behalf, and that if they have already purchased a sticker, we'll refund it. We're asking for the sticker number. I see there's a typo there in the first sticker. We'll get that, and then when those come back in, they'll just be checked against the master list to show that in fact they had paid and when they paid, and we'll process a refund out of the revenue account. This would be called a contra revenue. We've encouraged people who perhaps have been, as I say, borrowing that sticker to get a proper sticker and use it in the correct manner. And that shameless plug to perhaps volunteer to serve on a town board or committee. The change to the application form itself is simply to add along the senior citizens the deed restricted affordable housing. And if this meets with your, I don't think we need a formal vote. I don't think we had it scheduled for that, but we wanted you to see the approach that we were going to use and to understand that a more large scale rewrite of the transfer station rules and regs driven just simply by changes in the recycling market and some other things that have been done recently will be coming your way.
Okay, that looks good to me. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Go ahead, Les.
Yeah, let me bring back the text here before I lose it. Bear with me a moment. I don't know why I keep losing the document. I've got to bring back the wording. Oh, damn. I want to make is this a draft of a memo that you're going to?
Yes. Yep.
I just have a request on that.
Sure.
So it's on page 6 of our packet, Les.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. It just when I go back and forth, the PDF keeps disappearing. I have to go get it again. Well, anyway, there it is. Okay.
Is it because you open it up in the email instead of a new window?
I probably,
Yep.
yeah. I've done it at least 3 times now. Yeah, and the memo where it says I have some good news for you, etc. I would prefer that say at the urging of the Boxborough Housing Board, not a town committee known as. It is in fact a Boxborough Housing Board established by a bylaw the town adopted, so it ought to be given proper recognition as such.
Sure, we can do that.
But otherwise, very good, and I think this is a great move.
I do want to make it clear that this is a town committee of citizen volunteers advocating on their behalf.
Right.
So what I could say is at the urging of the Boxborough Housing Board, comma, a town committee, comma, that would get that wording out front less the way you like it, but keep in place the fact that this is a town committee.
Well, the committee that, I guess, maybe I missed it, the committee that's advocating for it is, what, the Wellbeing Committee, or is it the Housing Board?
The Housing Board.
It was
Pardon?
the Housing
Housing
Board
Board.
as I remember it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Right.
the Housing Board is the Housing Board.
yeah. So,
It's-
yeah, that would be a good change.
It's not like the Building Committee, which is just established by the Select Board at their whim. It's actually a bylaw that sets up the Housing Board.
All right, well, that's an understandable change. Does anyone have had any other feedback on this?
Other than
Okay.
it's a great move. So,
No, it's good.
All right, okay, so we already voted to support this, so we don't have anything further we need to do on this tonight, correct, Carter?
No, I just wanted y'all to see how we were going to do it, make sure you were comfortable with it from the timeline perspective. This will be probably within a week to 10 days.
Terrific.
right.
All right, so next is the vocational update. So I can show my screen that you sent me,
Perfect.
the updated one.
Thank
Does
you.
everyone see that?
So since preparing the document that went in your packet, we've had some updated information. We reached out to, first we tried to identify the regional vocational technical that were within no more than a 45-minute drive. Now that's passenger vehicle. We all know that collecting students and putting them on a school bus could take a little bit longer. But we've given you the name of the school, the town it's located in, the miles from town hall, the drive time from town hall, and whether or not we got a response the first time we sent something out. So we did get some responses, we didn't get others, but let me update you. Assabet Valley Regional, that's note number 2. The superintendent explained that the chair of the school committee had a family emergency, which had put them a bit behind schedule. It turns out that this is new territory for the school committee. They have never explored admitting any communities since they were first formed. And they want to take a step back and consult with their council as to how it's done procedurally, so on and so forth. He, interestingly enough, was the principal at Minuteman before he became the superintendent in Assabet. He advised me that in the past, there had been plenty of room for out-of-district students. However, over the past 6 years, applications from inside the district are, this is probably my term, muscling out of school district applications. So within the district last year, they had 6 applications and 300 slots. So you can see the challenge right there. He also spoke to, and I don't remember the name of the study that he cited, a statewide demand of close to 20,000 slots for regional, for vocational technical, and there being less than 10,000 slots across the state estimated. We have some competition. We're not the only one that has reached out to them. There are 3 other towns that have approached them as well. And he said that we'd probably get a formal letter on how they thought they might proceed within 4 weeks or so. On Neshoba, that is note 3. Up until last year, they'd been accepting 20 plus or minus out of district students each year. However, 2 years ago, their in-district waiting list grew considerably. Also, there was a change in the statute that requires they extinguish the in-district wait list before they can take any out-of-district students. So they also have several towns interested in joining them, and she expects that they will be establishing a subcommittee of their school committee to explore whether or not they want to open up to out of district. Now, some challenge from folks I've talked with who are not necessarily within your geographic area is that many of them are simply out of space physically. And to admit all their district waiting list plus some out of district things, or to consider adding other towns, could prove challenging from a physical capacity. Minuteman, we're awaiting a call back from them. We'll follow up in a couple days if we don't get that. Massachusetts Regional, that's note 4, says, simply put, this is a direct quote out of their email. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to entertain this request. We already serve 18 cities and towns and have a waiting list within our sending communities. So that's the best that we can report to you. When we get that report from Minuteman, we'll amend this and get this out to you. We'll call them 2 Worcester schools, but basically they're city districts, city schools, highly unlikely. Those would effectively be school choice as well, and they don't have enough slots. If you would like us to do something additional or different, just let me know. Otherwise, I do think that it's a, sit back and in a month, kind of pencil in the follow-up calls if you've not gotten those letters or any further advice, because you do probably have 2 districts that are going to at least, and by that I mean Assabet and Neshoba, who appear they're going to take a step back and see whether or not they want to put some subcommittees together of their school committee. The superintendent from Westford did offer at any time anyone from the board wanted to come up, and I suspect that might be 2 or 3 members, not just one-on-one. She'd be happy to give you a tour of the facilities that the district has.
I would love to do that at some point. All right, Les?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, what was the actual question, so to speak, of the survey? Was whether these schools or districts would be willing to take out of district placements on an as available basis, or whether they would be willing to entertain us joining their district?
So I think the out of district placement has been pretty well resolved. They didn't take any of your students last year. And this change, they aren't even able to take all of their own applicants at this point. They have waiting lists, and it appears that the statute now requires they exhaust their own waiting list before they accept out of district. So our inquiry was much more direct. Are you interested in exploring the possibility of us joining your school district? I think is the best way to
and that was what the sense of the meeting article was, was to pursue joining as a member town.
Right, but just to follow up on my question, this would not preclude, unless they establish a policy to the contrary, this would not preclude on a yearly basis any out-of-district town applying for a seat if it's available, correct?
No, you can still continue to do that.
Right.
However, if you're looking for some measure of assuredness that some of your students would be admitted, the only way to have a guarantee of that is to be a member of a district.
Right.
Right. And that was what that was the whole reason why we did this at town meeting, because we didn't get any of our students accepted.
Right.
And so if we were to be accepted, then our students would be able to apply to that school, get a preference. And then if if accepted, they could not apply to another school unless that school had had a program that they weren't interested in, that whatever sending town school did not have. Okay, John?
Yeah, Jennifer, thanks, and Carter, thanks for working on this. Help refresh my memory. What is Acton's situation? Is Acton a current member of Minuteman?
Yes.
So
yes,
their student,
although they are exploring, from my understanding, they are exploring a change.
A change.
I don't know anything more, but
okay. So if you're an Acton resident, the students can go because they're part of Minuteman, correct?
yes, the regional agreements are made by town, not by school,
Okay.
not by region.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Maria?
I just have a quick question, Jennifer. Somebody saw this in the packet, and I know that the article stated you're going to form a committee. Was a committee formed, or was this, and it's fine either way, I have to answer the question at FinCom because I'm sure it's going to be asked. Did you form a committee, or was this just Carter doing the
It was actually, I think, mostly Rajan, correct, Rajan?
So the goal was to poll the community, the nearby vocational technical schools to see if there was any availability, and if there was any availability, then you would form the committee afterwards.
Great.
Yeah.
That's all. Just a clarification.
And if
All
we
right.
do form a committee, I've got a couple people who are interested, and anyone else can go ahead and send me their names. So,
Right. Thank
okay.
you. Thanks.
Yeah,
All
this,
right.
this really was a first blush pass, and the committee would do the heavy lifting if we had any takers. I think's probably the best way to put it.
All right. Any other questions on this? And you have what you need from us, Rajan?
I do. I think we all do. Kelly worked on this, Rajan. I made some one-on-one calls when they weren't getting responses to the emails. But Kelly and Rajan took the lead on this.
Well, thank you all for your work on this. I think it's really important.
Thank you very much.
All right. So moving on, I'll go ahead and share the town administrator job description. That's what we're on next. Okay.
Right. We had a conversation with Joe Fair. And then he wasn't able to look at it at length over the weekend, but I was able to catch him late in the day today. The change to it is basically to identify the staff positions subject to appointment as opposed to the people themselves, so that if there was a change in town administrator and the hire predated that town administrator, there wouldn't be a debate about, well, you didn't appoint me. So that was to clear that up.
Okay. And we need to vote on this, correct?
Yes, and as a result of this conversation, there was a suggested revision to the draft amendment, which I believe I sent you in the email.
Yes, you did. Does anyone have any discussion about this while I pull up the draft amendment?
I think it looks good.
Oh, Diana and then Les.
Yeah, not about this specific thing. I just, in rereading this, I noticed if you scroll up just a little bit to duties, right there, develops and implements the town's IT strategy. May I just make a recommendation that we spell out these acronyms? The town's IT strategy.
Sure.
We know it means information technology, but I just like us to be really clear.
Yep, as long as the minutes have that in there, we can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Otherwise, no, I support this change.
All right, Les?
Yeah, I'm not sure where it is in the description. Maybe you can find it, but it's the reference to the being a MCPPO, Massachusetts Certified Purchasing Professional, whatever the acronym is.
That's procurement, and we'll spell
Yeah.
that out as well.
No, I just want to, where is that section? I want to.
It's under the preferred qualifications. If you
Yes.
keep going down, Jennifer.
Yes, it's, so it says it's preferred, not required. My understanding was we really wanted the person to have that. So if we want the person to have that qualification? Should it be built into the job description or made it as a condition of the hiring offer?
So this is one of these where you have to have served in a government level and taken all their certifications, and I believe you have to have served for 3 years. So let's say you had somebody that you were really interested in that came out of the military. They're not going to meet the qualifications. I think we did have it being earned somewhere. I'd have to go back and look, Les.
Yeah, that's the only place,
Says
it's
preference.
referenced.
I
Can
mean,
you go to the procurement section, Jennifer?
Let's see. Chief Procurement Officer.
right.
Okay.
I mean, I think the easy thing to do is not disturb this document, but if the person that you want to hire, and of course, we're now looking in the rearview mirror, if they don't have that qualification, you would make some condition in their contract for hire that within a certain period of time, they would get that qualification. We did that before with Ryan, I think.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Okay, we'll circle back on this one for you, Les, to see where that would be.
Well,
Yeah, I
that
think
would be in
we
the
did- we did
contract, I think.
Right.
So that doesn't affect this document, so. we
Correct.
wanna
I
spell
just
out-
want to make sure that we get to keep that thought.
Yeah, that's really important to include in a contract. So we have Diana's adjustment to spelling out information technology. And we have this change. So do I have a motion to approve the town administrator job description as amended and presented and to delegate the authority contained therein?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Box eye.
Wes,
Okay.
Diana,
Kupari, aye.
and Campbell, I. That passes. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Okay, the fall town meeting warrant articles. So we're just gonna go through the ones that are non-planning board and do that. Kevin, or is that Cheryl? Let me see. Cheryl.
Hello, I didn't mean to raise my hand. Sorry about
Oh,
that. Hi,
okay.
everybody.
All right, so Carter, did you want to go through the,
Yeah, I'd like to. Do you want to scroll through them from your side?
sure. Let's see.
We've circulated and recirculated and circulated thrice or more this to all the different parties. We did get Diana's minority report. Thank you. Minor change from the finance committee chair. Was a phrase in their report we hadn't used, but we were certainly able to do that. And a minor change from Hillary Griven. We did get the reports, the polling of 3 board members. So what we need to do tonight is to finish up to determine how Les and Wes vote on yes. Is the
Or
best
no.
way I could, or no.
No pressure.
But there's a little more alliteration to Les, Wes, and yes,
I
so. And if, sort of a last call, if there's any minority reports, if they are in the minority on any of these.
And this is
items.
extremely last call because this goes to the printer tomorrow.
I gotta have this thing pushed out the door tomorrow morning. Yes,
Yeah.
we did get a document on Sunday, which we pushed into it. And we had our best town hall proofreader run through it today, and I know Kelly's been working away at that. So I think we're in reasonably decent shape as long as we get this to the the printer tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So on Article 1, we need to know how Mr. Folks and Mr. Fox, what their position is. These are not votes. These are just polling their positions.
I mean, I would say that people could assume from my past votes, I would say, you know, we always pay our bills. Like, that's really the only summary that needs to be made here.
So Les, are you
I support it. I'm going to vote yes.
Okay.
okay?
Article 2, I just substituted that the board would report at the meeting because we, so that's not in this draft. That I caught at the last minute. The personnel administration plan, that's going to be probably down another page or two yet, Jennifer.
Yeah, this is about the sick bank.
Yeah, so this has 3 basic issues. One is to give vacation to the part-time employees. We think that's an important recruiting tool. These would be the regular part-time employees. It clarifies the language with respect to if somebody gets a promotion or a reclassification, how you calculate what their new step would be, and it creates this voluntary sick bank.
Les?
I mean, I'm all for that.
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
here. Yes, for me.
Perfect. All right. So operating budget. So this is the one about 4 or 5 areas.
Yes, so we've got some funds where we were short in the collector's office to cover the personnel because of that differing possibilities of how to interpret when someone goes from one grade to another. There's the same occurrence in the land use, but there's been a vacancy, so there's enough money to cover it. The assessor, treasurer collector, legal, and town insurance. We've been through the reasons for all of these. At this point, there's a majority for everything with a minority report on the treasurer collector. Jennifer, I hope you saw its inclusion there.
Yes, I did.
We need to know where Mr. Folks and Mr. Fox might stand.
I vote to recommend yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on. Article 5. This is the assessor services and software.
Right. This does 2 things. One is, excuse me, it covers a shortfall this year. We talked about doing it at the annual town meeting, but DLR is really concerned that we have all the funds in hand, that they're a little bit more comfortable. So we were facing this expense anyways. And it will put you on a path of every year appropriating approximately this amount of money. So it takes out the big peaks and valleys. One year, I think you appropriated about $125,000. So this will flatten that out, and that was important to the finance committee. You'll see their note just to let folks know that this will be a recurring expense in the future. And this first year is being covered from free cash, although the forward-looking years would be taxation. Again, we would need to know Mr. Folks and Mr. Fox's points of view.
Mine is yes.
Okay. Wes is giving a thumbs up.
Okay.
All right. Article 6 is funding for capital and special articles. This is the MS4, the police department storage facility, and the water resources committee.
Right, and Les gave me not a last minute, some changes I thought I'd made, and Les, hopefully you've seen this final language here. I think it meets.
Except this needs to have that. No, this still doesn't have the if requested piece.
Okay, that's because this draft came out before Sunday when you and I exchanged. So it does have a change in it. I sent that, and we'll make sure you get all that tomorrow. Les had made
sorry.
a request that I'd missed previously. And so what it'll say is the terms and conditions of license we were granted to enter on required us to remove the test wheels if we were so requested to do so, or something along those lines.
Right.
So we would need to know Mr. Folks and Mr. Fox's position on these.
We don't really have another choice.
Yeah.
That's a resounding yes.
Yes, with the wording as,
Right.
that's just a recommendation. I support this article.
Okay, Liberty Field. I think we've been over this one a lot. You guys all know the parameters.
I'm good with it.
What was that, Wes? You support it? Wes supports it,
I'm
Wes?
Yes.
Okay. Sergeant Road. Again, this is, I think, something we've been over, and of course, it may not be necessary, but it's just to ensure that we have the funds that we need.
Fox votes yes.
Wes is nodding.
Yep.
Okay. Article 9, the EDC. This was the $10,000 for the survey. So, and this draft does not have Diana's minority report.
No, that came in
Yeah.
after this had gone. So what it now says is the majority recommends this article, believing the value of the input we will receive. And then it says the minority does not recommend the article, and then Diana's text that she sent along. So at this point, it's 2-1 in terms of opinions.
2-1.
Yeah, John and I voted yes, and
Yeah.
Diana voted no.
Okay, but you need my yes vote.
Well,
We need your
you
vote.
like it, or your no.
Well, I'm voting yes.
That's fine.
That's all right. So that's 2 more yes. Okay, and then the rest are the planning board.
The
So we
rest
didn't-
is all planning board.
Okay, Diana.
Yes, I want to make a general comment here, and I want to preface it by saying that I think this is something that I would like to see on a future agenda in a discussion about procedures for town meeting overall. But I'm going to make this point. I alluded to it last week regarding the Finance Committee's voting on planning board articles. And in thinking about it in great detail, it comes to my mind that there are some significant problems with the way we have recommendations in the warrant. Just to give an example, it's my opinion, based upon having listened to the Finance Committee discuss the planning board articles, where people basically said, and I could give you exact quotes and times, but I'm going to paraphrase for the sake of time here. Basically, well, I don't really understand this, but I'm going to vote now, but I'll get more information when we go to town meeting. I can give you the exact quote. They conflated articles. They didn't really understand it. So this is not I'm not trying to pick on the Finance Committee, but my point is, when we give committees a platform in a printed warrant, there are a lot of people in town that rely upon these recommendations, and they make an assumption that the committee's recommendations are based on some outstanding information and knowledge that they have about the issue that goes beyond what the average person at the meeting has. And so there's a lot of weight given to the people that weigh in, such and such a committee votes yes, such and such a committee votes no. And in essence, really, the opinions that have been expressed, for example, on the planning board articles, but it goes beyond that. The opinions that are being expressed by these various committees, perhaps the EDC has a tad more knowledge, but none of these committees are basing their recommendations on actual studies or specific knowledge. They're based upon opinions that are no greater or lesser than the opinion of the average person in the room. So I feel that by giving them, these committees, a special place in the warrant, we're not being fair in terms of the average citizen's understanding of the issues. Not only to mention that this is the second part of this, who decides what committees go in the warrant? For example, and I'm going back to the planning board issues because it's pretty obvious. We have the planning board opining, the select board chooses not to, which I think is correct. We have the EDC opining, but what about the Conservation Commission or the Sustainability Committee? They might have a separate point of view, and a lot of it comes down to who decides what goes in the warrant. Now, I just want to remind the select board that it is our warrant and we get to say how it is constructed. But I don't think this particular issue has ever really been addressed as to who goes in the warrant with recommendations, what committees, based on what information. I'll give you another example. Article 9. We have opined on Article 9. I have said no. 4 of you have said yes. How much do we really know about that? Have we really studied this report in great depth? I think it's just as disturbing that we make a recommendation. They're opinions, but they're not based on any great in-depth knowledge. It's just a general opinion. Now, again, who's opining? Did anybody ask the planning board to opine? Did anybody ask? I know we're in between in a way with the town planner, but perhaps the town planner's information and recommendation might be important. So I'm just bringing this up because I think that this is something we need to review in greater detail, along with other possible things around how we create town meetings, what we do with our warrants, how they're conducted. I just think we're due for a review of our.
Well, you're welcome to put this on a future agenda. I will just say, first of all, that we have no control over some of these boards that you're referencing, the planning board, the finance committee. We don't oversee them. They're either elected or appointed by other authorities. I believe, in my opinion, just because the select board puts together the warrant, that when a committee or a board sends us a recommendation, that as a courtesy to that board, it should be in there, and we shouldn't be deciding by ourselves who votes and who doesn't. I'm not saying it's not worth discussing or exploring, but if it is determined that we don't have rules and that people are allowed to opine, then we need to just let anyone do these boards and committees. We don't get to tell them who they.
No, we don't get to tell them what to do. However, we do have charge over the warrant and what goes into the warrant. And if we're going to let any committee that chooses to put their information in the warrant, there should at least be some sort of disclaimer to the point that anyone who's asked us can put their information in the warrant. There's nothing that stops a committee from standing up and making it known to the people at large what their committee voted. I'm simply saying that when you put it in print, it gives an imprimatur of authority and information that probably, and from based on my information so far, goes well beyond what they actually know and what they actually are able to discern about.
All right.
That.
I'm going to let Dennis go and then Les. There you go.
I'll defer less in the meantime.
Oh, it's difficult to hear you, Dennis.
I just had some administrative comments on the warrant itself.
I know, but I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Okay, I tried to unmute. Hold on. Let's try that. Anything?
I can hear you. It's just that you're breaking up.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Dennis, maybe you should stop your video.
Wireless headset.
Yeah, exactly. Is this better?
That's better.
Okay, I'll defer to Les in the short run because he may be speaking to Diana's point of interest at the moment. I just had a couple questions on the mechanics of the warrant itself, so
Okay.
I'll wait.
All right, Les.
I'll put my hand down in the meantime.
democracy is messy and there's no requirement anywhere in any constitution that voters be informed about anything. That's the way it works. Now, if we all know that whether we invite a committee with perceived standing in a matter not to comment, it's going to come up on town meeting floor. So I think what we're trying to do is strike a balance between the voters' interest in hearing from a committee that supposedly understands the business, what their opinion is. And that's just the way it's been working for a long, long time, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And perhaps the select board ought to look at how wide the net should be cast and putting those comments in print on the warrant, which goes out to everybody. Everyone will have the right to stand up on town meeting floor and give their opinion as an individual or a committee chair, if they have a vote.
And as we made clear after the last special town meeting, a recommendation is not a vote. So
Right.
we can recommend something as a committee or as a committee member and then vote. We still only get one vote at town meeting.
So I would like to put this on a further, because I think this needs a more in-depth discussion.
Yeah. I think that's fine. Okay, Maria?
I just want to clarify, and I don't want to get into the weeds on this, but I want to clarify, we had the planning board chair come to the FinCom meeting and do a presentation that he could have presented anything he wanted for as long as he wanted. We also had the EDC chair come to a meeting. We also had the RecCom come to a meeting. So the way we've always done it is we have those committees come to our meetings, present their warrant articles, their backup on the warrant articles, and then we make a recommendation. In addition, at least two of us have been to almost every single planning board meeting on this. So I just want a clarification that we're, that somehow FinCom's voting on something they don't understand. I disagree with that, but I don't want to get into a back and forth on it. We do everything we can to get the information from the committees. We do follow-ups when necessary. I talked a lot to Carter about all of the stuff coming from the select board and all the budgets. We met. We went over all that stuff, and then I brought it back to the committee. He came with the finance team I think at our last meeting or the meeting before. We went through all the articles. So it is not that we don't get all the information. You may not all agree with our opinions. We may not agree with your opinions, but we do try to get as much information from the committees as we can before we formulate our recommendations. And again, this is a conversation we can have down the line whenever you get this on an agenda.
Okay, let's put it on an agenda because
Could I just say-
it's not on this
Could I just
agenda.
say-
So
Could I just say one thing, Jennifer? I'm not going to answer Marie's comments because obviously I don't want to get into a back and forth. My point here is not what due diligence is done. My point is the level of expertise to decide on any given article. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care how many times you listen to it. Is the opinion of the finance committee members any better or worse than the people at large at the meeting? And that's my point.
okay. All right. Well, we'll put this on a future agenda. Okay, so is there any other business or does anyone have any reports? Dennis. Oh, yes. Sorry, Dennis.
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me okay now?
It's better.
Okay, I got a new laptop, so I'm running Zoom, I think, on a web app, not the actual install. So I'll get that fixed tomorrow because this could be problematic in Zoom. Just with regard to the warrant, I guess and again, I understand it's the select board's warrant. We were just reminded of that. There appear to be 5 of these articles that have unanimous support. I'm just wondering, is there an intent to have a number of these articles on a consent agenda?
Carter?
Yes, the book contains the explanation of consent agenda items, and as I understand it, we do have unanimous agreement on a number of them, and those will be presented as a single consent motion as far as I understand it right now. The only wrinkle is we do have one of them that requires 9/10.
Yes.
The moderator former has advised me that there is some history for including that in the consent agenda. That had been our intent. If you want us to go in a different direction, we can certainly do that. So the articles that have unanimous agreement will get those double asterisks in the books, but we do still have some time to make that final decision between now and the 15th, and we have to get this material
Well,
ready for projection
it
up
is
on the
easier to pull out
screen.
than it is to pull something out of the
Add.
consent agenda. I think it's better if we, and usually it's, you can look in past warrants, Carter. Usually it's in the table of contents and kind of
Yep.
made very clear. So we just need
Right,
to,
the double asterisks, and we just needed to wait and see the final polling tonight.
yes,
Also, the moderator, just so everyone will know, gave us some material over the weekend. Dennis, we did get those 4 pages or so inserted at the very end.
Very good. Thank you.
And, you know, we have till 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, but no need to wait if anyone has something at 8 a.m.
All right.
they want to send along.
All right. So yeah, I fully support consent to the extent that you're comfortable putting it in there. So thank you. The other question I had was regarding Article 4, which has several individual line items and differing recommendations for and against. And this seems a little messy, and I'm wondering, have you even thought of or considered up to now breaking it into 5 separate votes, which I think, you know, was done at last May's annual town meeting. I think for an Article 4 was actually the one, the different article altogether, but it had a similar series of items and decisions, all of which would likely have different thoughts and considerations by the voters, and having them all as one clump, I think it's inviting amendment after amendment potentially, if it's not split up the way Article 4.
I agree.
Back in
We
last
can
May
divide
was,
it into 5, or we can divide it into
5
3.
votes.
There is unanimous agreement, I believe. I don't have that up on the screen right now. I think there's 5 or 6 individual pieces. I think that if it's 5, there's 3 that everyone's agreed on. If it's 6, there's 4 that everyone's agreed on. But certainly, I'll consult. Yeah, I'll consult with the moderator and the chair as to how those draft motions. Actually, maybe I'll leave that for the incoming TA, but we can put that on the list of. We got a little bit of time there.
Well, just putting it in the, yeah, I guess we don't have to put in the warrant that they will be separate votes, but.
Well,
it
until
is
the
good
motions, until the motion's made,
yeah, the motion can be explicit, but again, I think the due date for motions is coming up within a week too. So it's just, if we want to get that idea percolating now, now's the time to start thinking about it. And
I'll consult with the chair.
Yeah, please. Okay, thank you very much. Those are my 2 just administrative concerns and interests tonight.
All right, thanks, Dennis. Okay, Diana?
Yeah, are we on to reports?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to report about the Grange, acoustic remediation of the Grange and finishing up the project. Owen Neville, my husband Richard Hilton, and I went to DGI headquarters. This is the company that we've consulted regarding audiovisual equipment and also acoustic remediation. And we went there to look at materials. Becca Edson, who was the architect who did the project, was not able to come, but the 3 of us did look at the various materials. I have communicated with Becca about it. She brought back a plan for remediation. My concern about it is that she kind of took the original DGI plan and made some changes to it, and I'm not convinced that we're going to achieve what we need to achieve per se with that plan in terms of the remediation, acoustically speaking. So I believe that the plan needs to be reviewed by DGI. I don't know if we need, when we go to do this, because I know that Becca had some intention of, she was talking about using DGI, some of the materials. It's a little up in the air to me as to how we proceed, and perhaps Carter can give an answer on this, but I wanted the board to be aware of it. I think perhaps any final plan should probably come before the board, because we do have some money left from the original project, but we will be dipping into some ARPA funds, I believe, that we had already allocated for part of this. So Carter, perhaps you could address it, but I wanted you to know that we are proceeding with this.
I think that if it's, if the board would like to see the final plan, that's pretty straightforward and we can report back on that.
Yeah, we should put it on a future agenda.
But I wanted to make sure that it is reviewed by DGI for the acoustic properties, because what the plan that Becca proposed just kind of mixed and matched. So I'm not sure that we're going to achieve what we need to achieve. We just need to make sure that that's reviewed. I don't want us to do a half job. I want it to really work. So that's my only proviso here.
Okay. I realize now, Carter just pointed out, I skipped over 4D, the select board operating policy, so I apologize on that. Carter?
So this isn't a document so much as points of discussion, if you will. We have revised the town administrator's job description that was used in your recruitment. And we've actually been getting some things wrapped up here with the warrant behind us. And so we're finally able to turn our attention to this, which I'll finish up with Michael upon his entry. So I just wanted to go through some areas that have been discussed off and on over the last 15, 16 months I've been with you, and kind of double check the sense of direction. Currently the board has a chair and a clerk. There had been discussion about, I forget now, 6 months ago, of adding a vice chair, and I just wanted to see where the board did not do it at that point. It was the middle of the course. So I'm going to assume for the moment that we're staying with chair and clerk.
I think so.
Okay, perfect. The next piece that I wanted to just talk about a little bit was we have the revised liaisons that's gone out to all the committees to try to reinforce, and you saw some exchange recently with a committee that I'm not quite sure had kind of gotten the concept of working through the staff as opposed to working through the select board. But I wanted to see if you wanted to maintain those committee liaisons, how that was working, if we need to revise or flesh out any changes as this has evolved since. I know it's only been a few months, but it has been a change for some of the committees. Your chair has experienced some of that with one of her committees that she's liaison to, or I think you may have been doing some pinch hitting for another board member on that. I know that, as I say, we've had some exchanges, and I just wanted to see if you wanted some changes to that language that we'd done back in June.
John?
Yeah, with regards to that, I think that and maybe I'm remiss for this, but I think that there has to be better communication to the various committees as to when they should, what they should expect from a select board member as a liaison, because we want to reinforce the strong town administrator role, and we want to reinforce the fact when people have needs or issues or concerns that their first course of action should be to talk to the town administrator or the assistant town administrator. And this is a major change, because in the past people went to their select board liaison, and at times that could create some confusion. And I think that we need to make sure that people understand that we've changed this whole approach in order to reinforce the strong town administrator, because a strong town administrator needs to be included. And if there's an issue where they don't feel that they're getting a resolution or they have some concerns, then the select board member could work with the town administrator to bring some resolution. But the town administrator should be the first course of action. I think we need to clarify that.
I agree, John, and I'd be happy to work on a memo and run it by you, John. And because I know some committees, it seems they still feel like, they need to have a select board representative at their meetings,
Right.
which really they don't, and they're
That's
very
right.
capable of doing without it, and just have come to us for some things about, oh, can we explore this, operations avenue of something, and that's really does need to go through the town administrator. So if no one objects, I'll work on something with John and run it by Carter and Rajan.
We'll send you out when all the liaison committee assignments were done. We sent that out to everyone, along with, trying to capture this change. Let me send you that to work from, because I think that sending that out in the context that we're started, sorry I didn't get a chance to finish it today, but we've started that email or press release on Mr. John's entry, the day of the entry. And so being accompanied by an invite along with a reminder of, and here's how this works and here's how we work. I think that makes a nice package of refresher, invite and refreshing memory.
I agree. And I had that memo, Carter, so I'll use that as a starting point.
Oh, okay.
Run something by John and then run it by you and Rajan.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'm happy to work with you because I can understand where confusion exists.
Yeah. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, I see nodding heads. All right, what's next, Carter?
So the next one, when I was starting putting the special town meeting warrant together and even trying to understand the annual town meeting warrant, I had to, I sat with Maria for a few minutes. I'm like, okay, given the institutional knowledge of what the order of this is built in, nobody should have to try to find somebody with institutional memory to understand how the warrant is built. So in other communities, we've actually put into the board's operating procedure. Here's what comes first. Here's what comes next. Here's how we do this. And so when a admin Kelly enters or the new TA enters, you pick the document up and you go to the warrant and boom, it's right there in order. And I guess I just wanted to affirm that you were going to sort of stay with this long-standing tradition, other than us kind of trying to put it down on paper.
I think
that makes some sense. What I'm
I think that the one thing we have explored as far as the order of things is, we always stick planning board at the end, and whether or not that's a good policy, because sometimes we're making really important decisions with the skeleton crew. So I think it's worth having an agenda item before we work on the next warrant to make sure that we are doing things the right way. But any kind of policy, operations, manual guidelines, all of that is crucial going forward.
Yep.
So we'll slip in the current order of things, and when you get this draft, you'll be able to talk about whether or not you want to realign any of that.
Okay, Diana?
Yeah, I think this just goes along with my original ask that we have a general review of all of our policies surrounding the warrant and surrounding the production of the warrant and surrounding the procedures at town meeting. There are a lot of things that I would like to see discussed, and that is one of them. It would be good to codify some of these things so that it doesn't depend upon what we've always done in the past, but that we take a new look at them and see what really works. So I would hope we put this on the agenda sooner than later. It'll probably happen after the town meeting, but
but before we start putting the warrant together.
Right, exactly. So let's just plan to put it on the agenda and give it a fair amount of time to discuss. There's a bunch of issues.
It'll be on your workshop of the 21st, unless Mr. Johns has higher priorities that he discusses with the chair and realigns the documents.
Okay. All right.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
With respect to your business, we would lay out the order for the business meetings and then for the workshops. Currently, you are allowing citizen concerns in both, and in the business meetings, where you tend to take the vast majority of your formal votes. Yes, there were 2 here tonight, Sergeant Road and the TA, because of some time constraints. You allow citizen inquiries on any item where you're going to be taking votes. So may I just sort of understand, citizen concerns would stay on both agendas, yes?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't, may I just say I don't agree? I honestly think that workshops should be workshops in the sense that it's a chance for the board to really have basic, and in-depth discussions of items without having citizen participation. When we go to take those, whatever we're talking about, to the public and vote on them, that's the time that we can get citizen participation. But I think we really need time when we can just sit and actually discuss policies without a lot of input otherwise, just amongst the board. So I personally think, otherwise, why call it a workshop? Let's make some distinctions here.
Okay,
Well,
John or
I
Wes?
guess, Jennifer, if I can, I was trying to distinguish between the citizen input, which is the general, not items on the agenda, and then citizens' questions about agenda items. I see those
Do you
as
think
two separate.
neither at workshops, Diana? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think workshops should just be for the board. And as a matter of fact, I think it might be a good idea to hold them at different times other than pretty much like what we did with Budget Saturday and Capital Saturday, where it was simply a question of people, the board sitting together and having the discussion. I see a workshop as being an in-depth opportunity for the board to bounce ideas all around without having additional input. Once those things are sort of clarified and we take them to a public meeting and people want to give their input on what the board has come up with, then I think that's appropriate. I just want to see workshops be distinct and different and not stick business information, business meeting items in the middle of them. Otherwise, what's the point?
All right. Does anyone else have any comments on that? John?
Yeah, I think part of it, you have to probably look at our overall calendar and see how long it's been since we've had a meeting. But I do think that there's a good point in saying, look, if we typically have our select board meetings on a Monday evening, then maybe we identify a different day of the week for a workshop meeting. And so people understand this is a workshop meeting for the board because it's very difficult for us to discuss items and that we know we need to discuss issues associated with policies, to review them, to change them, or to adapt new ones, which is our primary role. And we have very little time to do that. And we need to make more time for that, especially as we start to look at what are the things that we've learned over the last year or two in terms of what's really not working and how do we fix it? How do we make the town more effective? How do we make town government more effective and more efficient? And what are the policies that we don't have? Because we seem to be doing things in an implied way. It's always been done this way, or this is the Boxborough way, but nothing is written, nothing is formal. And I think as we look at the total budget for this town, we have to get much more serious about how we operate. So I do think we need to have the workshop meetings need to have our total focus. That's my thought.
Okay. Wes, you were nodding when Diana was talking, so you're good.
Me? No,
Yeah.
I was just saying I'm actually kind of indifferent on the two of them. Like I think people are going to inject anyways, but I don't mind trying to codify it.
Okay. Les, do you have any opinions on that?
Well, I'm a little apprehensive about finding a whole nother day somewhere to put a workshop in because it may really upset people's calendar planning right now, unless there's a long range warning given about how it's going to be. I would just stick with alternating on Monday evenings, which is a workshop and which is a business meeting. I think
I agree with sticking with Mondays.
I mean, I have 2 other committee meetings and you guys have other meetings. So what nights would you give up to have a workshop? You know,
No,
it wouldn't work for me.
yeah, I have basically revolved my life around Mondays.
The thing is, if a workshop is going to be for us to talk, and that means the public can come and listen but can't speak. And in other words, the chair will have a policy of not recognizing people in the audience, right?
Well, that I think we should put that on a future agenda to vote for,
Yeah,
because
that could rankle with people. So I'd be a little careful about how you go about that.
because I am not in favor of that. So, but I think we should have a full discussion
Yeah.
so everyone can vote and we
Sure.
can make a policy.
Right.
Okay, is there something else, Carter, on the operations?
No, that, I just wanted to kind of walk through those main items, get a sense of direction, so I can give you that draft, so you can have that full-throated debate, once that document gets in front of you.
Oh, it'll be civil. Diana, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I just wanted to iterate. My idea was not to have consistent, constant workshops. My idea was to do something akin to Budget Saturday and Capital Saturday, where we take 4 hours, say on a Saturday, maybe, and we're going into the winter months. We do a Zoom meeting. We start at 8 in the morning. We go until 12. We put some basic policies on the agenda and we talk. That's my idea. And it has nothing to do with the Monday meetings. And it is been my experience that the public may attend Budget Saturday and Capital Saturday, but we don't have public comment. So that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I think we need to put that on a future agenda then. Okay, does anyone have anything else?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna say John moved and Wes seconded. John,
Markowitz, aye.
Les,
Fox eye.
Wes,
Okay.
Diana,
Lapari, aye.
and Campbell, I. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rob. Thank you,